Okay, good evening, everyone. I will officially call this meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. Before we get going this evening, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Epiqua Mi'kmaq First Nations people, and as a community, we recognize the ever-present systemic inequities that stem directly from past wrongdoings, and we commit ourselves indefinitely to respecting and reconciling this long history of injustice. We'll now get on to tonight's agenda, which I will share with you folks. So there is the agenda for this evening. So at this time, I am seeking a motion for approval of tonight's agenda. I see Adam.
Thank you, Chair. I move that tonight's agenda now be approved.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Akini, our business rep. Adam, did you wish to speak to this motion?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak to this motion? So any amendments to tonight's agenda?
I think we are amending tonight's agenda. Can I just get like a yes from Jose or Tulu just to make sure? No, yeah. Yeah, okay, yes. I'd like to add strategic plan updates to the agenda, and that could be number 5 instead of the UPSU council dates.
Thank you for your amendment. Can I get a seconder for that amendment, please? Seconded by the president. Alec, did you wish to speak to that motion?
Yep, we're just going over some of the metrics that each executive team records after a year. And that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the clarification. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this motion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote on the amendment. So the addition of point 5, which is the strategic planning updates. Please vote now if you are in favor of this amendment, opposed, or if you wish to abstain on this amendment. That amendment has carried. So we are now back on to approval of the agenda as it is now amended. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to tonight's agenda?
Hi, Ashley. I would just like if a councillor could move a motion to add the presentation of the 20,000 plus expenses for February and March.
Okay, so Yumakin is asking a councillor to move a motion to amend the agenda to include 2,000 plus expenditures for February and March. Can I get a motion to that effect? I see Adam.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move that we add to the agenda the addition of 2,000 plus expenditures for February and March.
Thank you very much, Adam. Do you have a point in the agenda at which you would like it to appear?
Yes, point 6, please.
Okay, I will make that point 6. Thank you for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Akini, the business rep. Adam, do you want to speak to that motion?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, would anyone like to speak to that motion? Akini? I see the business rep has their hand up. I'm not sure if they wish to speak. As no one is answering, I will assume that we are good to proceed with a vote. So I'm going to relaunch that. All in favor of the approval of the amendment to include the 2,000 plus expenditures from February and March? All opposed, those who wish to abstain. That amendment has carried. We are now back onto the agenda itself. Are there any additional amendments for tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. All in favor of approval tonight of tonight's agenda as it is currently presented? All opposed, those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried. We are now on to tonight's agenda. The next item on tonight's agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 28th, 2021 council meeting. Can I get a motion for approval of those minutes, please? I see Malik.
Yep, I'd like to move. I'd like to move to approve the minutes from the March 28th meeting.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Akini, the business rep. Malik, do you wish to speak to that motion?
No, thank you.
Okay, now would anyone else like to speak to that motion? So are there any edits required for the minutes? Seeing no one, we will again move to a vote. A reminder, if you were not present for the March 28th council meeting, please do not vote on this. Please choose to abstain. So all in favor, all opposed, and those who wish to abstain. If you do wish to abstain, please indicate your name in the chat box so that the chair can record you onto the minutes for this meeting. And that motion has carried. Again, if you did vote to abstain, please indicate your name in the chat box. We'll now move on to the report session of this evening, and I will open the floor to the president for their report.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Sunday, I guess. I'll see if I can share my screen. Awesome. Yes. So for this week, from March 29th down to April 9th, my report is basically divided into external, internal, and general aspect of things. So first of all, throughout last week, I and the vice president of academic and external had the CASA AGM for 3 days last week. So from Monday down to Wednesday, 12 to 5 every day, where basically we had, we were told everything each CASA committee, we were briefed on everything each CASA committee has done. And like I have probably mentioned a couple of times, I sit on the National Advocacy Committee and also the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee of CASA. And we presented what we've been working on throughout the semester. Because I joined late, I just worked on just a couple of things, but they gave report on what they've been doing throughout the year since the team joined CASA. So we had CASA AGM and also plans for CASA moving forward. We also did invite incoming president and VPACs to attend various incoming and outgoing sessions for CASA in order to help them transition really more smoothly into the external aspect of CASA. So coming up this week, on Wednesday and Thursday, CASA will be having its EDI days, so Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion days. Anyone that is interested can attend. Just probably email me or message me, whichever you prefer. I can send you a link to register so that you get the Zoom link. So basically what we'll be talking about on EDI days would be things surrounding accessibility, equity, diversity, and inclusion, things campus sexual violence, and thereabouts, things related to EDI on campus, and that students can definitely relate to it. It will be throughout 14th and 15th. It's not by force if you can't attend everything, but definitely there is like a couple of events if you are interested to attend that I would definitely encourage, because I know there's a session where they are talking about difficult related topics, so more about I believe gender equity, racism, inclusivity, etc., where they'll be talking about various things and how to handle situations if you're probably in a leadership position or just in any situation you might find yourself in. So some things on the internal aspect of things, we had the Board of Governors meeting on Tuesday, April 6th. I'll be talking more into this during the Board of Governors report. They presented the budget, and also various committees updated the board on what has been going on, and we basically approved a bunch of new policies and some HR updates during the Board of Governors meeting. Then we had Senate meeting where we'll be going into full details, graduation, plans for graduation, fall semester, and then we discussed the student code of conduct. Also, I sit on there's a committee, I can't remember what the full name is, but there's a committee that does the operations of the student union building. And I, as the president, sit on this committee. And we were just evaluating the operations for the student union building for the fall semester. And also some general items which happened last week were the council and staff banquet. And just like I said, during the staff banquet, I do appreciate everyone who took their time to attend the banquet, because I know it's kind of like a busy time in school with exams coming up and final papers to submit. So I do appreciate everyone that attended, and that is about my report.
Great, thank you very much for your report. Are there any questions for the president? The final chance for any questions. Okay, again, thank you for your President Tolu. Thank you for your report, Tolu. I'll now open the floor to the VPACs for her report.
Can you folks see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our last council meeting. I think so. Yeah. Okay. And I'll go through my report for the past couple of weeks. So we had Senate. I won't go too much into the details because our senators will be reporting on it. We mainly discussed graduation 2021. Not a lot of discussion there, more kind of like overview. Student code of conduct was a lot of the discussion. We talked about the search for a VP academic and research for the university, because the position is currently interim. And we also talked about searching for several dean positions that are also interim. And we revisited the UPEI 1010, 1020, 1030 enrollment kind of conditions and restrictions. On the external side of things, we had CASA annual general meeting. It was for 3 days. We discussed the board action plan. We had my committee's last meeting. We had presentations that are incomings and other incomings from other student unions attended that were about what the board roles are for people who might be interested in running. We talked about the CASA policy updates that my committee did, and we had an incoming returner session and a closing plenary. I was also rewarded MVP in the awards gala, so that was pretty cool. And then we also had a meeting with Elections Canada, myself, Sam Mitkiff, the education rep, as well as Anaga, our incoming VPACs. And it's basically, we're hosting 2 information sessions for students about voter registration, youth engagement in the elections, and job opportunities. And the goal is to make this regional. So I set up a meeting with our Nova Scotia and New Brunswick counterparts to see if we can get more folks onto this. But please do keep an eye out. I know everyone's, having their own plans in the summer and excited to move on to new things, but the union is still going to be active. And I'm hoping that you might want to, attend these sessions or inform others about them. There's a lot of job opportunities as well for students to get paid to be engaged in elections. So it's pretty cool. On the advocacy side of things, I met with a representative from the Rotary Club of Charlottetown. So back in November, as part of my mandate for the Access to Technology project, I was looking at more funding sources for the laptop lending program at the library, so we could buy more devices there. So other than the devices that we had by donations and gave out, we were looking for larger funding source for the laptop lending program, and that application has just been accepted as of last week. And the Rotary Club of Charlottetown is giving us $6,000 that will go to the Robertson Library. So I'm working on a final project report for them and facilitating the payment, and then any kind of like updates that we need to update the Rotary Club about. We had exec committee a couple of times. The Shared Perspectives article, a publication that I was working on with other student unions, is currently undergoing final edits and is going to be published by the end of April. We also had the council and staff banquets. And then I've also been working mostly on transition these past couple of weeks. I had a CASA transition meeting with the incoming VPACs and president. And I'm also setting up some meetings for both with the Minister of Education, Minister of Housing, the Green Party, the Liberal Party, and the PEI Youth Engagement Officer. Also, as a part of transition, all of the execs have completed a strategic plan metrics and data report. So we have our, current strategic plan, and there's kind of measures in there where you to make sure that we're achieving the goals in the strategic plan that we report on. And we're going to be updating you folks about that today and working on a organized and robust transition document for Onaga. And that was it.
Thank you very much for your report, Malik. Are there any questions for the VPACs at this time? A final chance for any questions. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again for your report. I'll now open the floor to Jose, the VPSL, for his report.
Ashley, would it be possible for you to share my report on your screen? Can I just read through it?
Yeah, sure. Okay? Let me pull that up for you.
Thank you so much. Perfect. So can everybody see what Ashley is showing on the screen? I think so.
Should be able to, yes.
Yay. So I hope all of you are doing well and you're doing well in your exams and you're getting a nice end of the semester. I know it's a stressful time, but I'm sure all of you will do great. So basically, this is the last, as Malak said, this is our last meeting of the year. So before beginning, I just wanted to thank everybody who was on council this year or work in this organization, because it made it a pleasure to work with and for this year. So to get going, Clubs and Societies was a busy time because Lena and I had the mentorship and transition program. It was presented on April 2nd and then was made available afterwards to clubs through the Google Drive and the Facebook groups in case they couldn't attend. And then we had the Club and Societies banquet, which had over around 70 attendees overall, which represented like 18 out of the 38 existing clubs and societies at UPI. This year we gave around 10 awards to a variety of different clubs and societies. Lena and I had to pick those, so that took its time because a lot of you did really good, great things throughout the year. Then Lena and I just co-hosted, prepared gift bags of appreciation for everybody who showed up. And there was live music, a meal, it was nice. Then Lena prepared a mock end of the year report. So usually clubs and societies have to write a kind of like what we're doing right now in terms of writing our transition documents for the executives. Is kind of like a document that lets the next executive team know all the information about the previous year in said club or society. Lena and I will be sending it out today or tomorrow, I mean, and we will be expecting to get the reports from clubs and societies before April 30th. And that way, Sierra and the next Club and Societies coordinator will have an easier time helping clubs with transitions. Lena also did a more personalized transition checkup where she basically just reached to all clubs to see how that was going. 19 out of the 39 clubs have gotten back to us, and overall it's looking good. Part of that information goes into my portion of the strategic plan that we're gonna be presenting, so stay tuned for that. And just answer a bunch of questions about like everything that was going on. So the banquet or nominations or transition or pictures. So yeah, busy time for clubs. And then for events, we had, we deliver 100 study kits specifically made for AVC students. And then we gave out around another 160 kits to students who came pick them up at the W. Murphy Student Center. All of them have been given away, which was great. And everybody seemed to be appreciative of those. I recommend that to be a thing that comes back in future years. Me and the president co-hosted the UPSU Council banquet, and then we assisted with the awards, and the same happened with the staff banquet and with awards too. I hope all of you who were there for one or both banquets enjoy your time. And then I'm preparing an event for tomorrow with SAVS, which is the Society of Atlantic Veterinary Students. It's gonna be just kind of giving them some pots, some plants, and they're gonna paint and relax and chill while they're doing exams. And then to finalize, there's a lot of other things going. So I'm finishing up the BP Student Life Transition Report for Sierra. The newsletter, a big chunk of it was from my office. So we put out the event campaign survey. Then the study kits things, I had to make an announcement about the NSO and Grad Week happening, and also the Board of Governors Council Initiative, which actually presented on April 1st. And some of the future executive teams and some of the current executive teams were there, and overall I heard it went well. As Malik mentioned, we all fill out our portion of the strategic plan for 2019-2022 under our respective boxes for 2020-2021, and we'll be presenting on those later. There were a lot of things related to the scholarship committee, just approved some things, and then a bunch of other things, which are things that we mostly did together. Also, the event and campaign survey so far has around 100 responses. I hope we can get more, and I'll continue to push it with the comms manager, but at least all the information we're getting are mostly people who are filling out the survey in its entirety, so they're really in-depth responses. But if all of you could help me and Sierra push that out, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report, Jose. Are there any questions for the VPSL? Final call for any questions. Seeing none, we will move on. Again, thank you very much for your report, Jose.
Thank you.
Next, I'll open the floor to a Yumakin for your report.
Hi everyone. So I'm just going to be giving a quick report of what has happened in the past 2 weeks. Starting off, we had the funding committee. So I met with members of the funding committee to approve student application for March. Also, I reviewed and approved the emergency fund for the last 2 weeks of March, and all students that applied were approved. Attended the various council banquets, clubs and society banquet, as well as staff banquet. Assisted Jose with the study kits for students alongside other executive members and student staffs. Attended the Campus Trust Board of Trustees meeting where we went over the government review for the coming academic year, and also went over the marketing review and looking into transition since some of us will be done with our term coming May 1st. I also attended the Campus Trust Finance Committee where we discussed the new budget for Campus Trust and also deliberated on it. So I reached out to Benny from the Farmers Market about the Healthy Harvest program. This was a program that started this year, and we were able to acquire $14,000. So I'm just looking for the potentials of this becoming a continuous thing in the coming academic year. So I'm just trying to get information from students about how they think this benefited them in one way or the other. Also, we had an exec committee, and I've also been giving students that come in for hampers for supply hampers. Also had meeting with the mental health and wellness officer, and basically we're just preparing for transition in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much for your report, Yumikin. Are there any questions for the VP Finance on her report? A final call for any questions for the VP Finance on her report. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again for your report, Yumikin. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is the Senate report. For that, I would open the floor to Jennifer.
Hello, did you have the document? Do you want to share it, or?
Do you have it, or would you prefer if I shared it?
Oh, I don't know how to share my screen on this. How do you?
Well, I'll pull it up.
Okay. I know a year of online school and I can't share my screen on Zoom. Okay, so we met on Friday from 3 to 5:15. So basically at the start of the meeting, they talked about convocation. They didn't really say much. They just said an email will go out Monday with the details on it. So that'll be tomorrow. And it will confirm that there's like online and in-person components. Summer semester, mostly online, the same as this semester, 2,000 students registered, which I think was more than normal. And then for fall, the next meeting, we'll make our final decision on the plan for the fall semester. There was concerns with international students being able to get here with the vaccine, but they talked to the chief public health office, and their primary concern right now is just the vaccine rollout. And then that UPI can't mandate students to get the vaccine because of legal issues. But their main goal is to protect everyone. So the student code came up with a lot of discussion. And so they basically simplified it from 20 pages down to 9. And then there's a quote there, but there was a couple concerns with the code about like definitions of like university personnel, like who does that consider? And then investigators, hazing, abusive language and gestures. So it was agreed that they'll adjust those definitions, and a motion was raised to approve the student conduct until the changes were made. So the UPEI courses was brought up again. And so the final decision, well, we added, so basically you have to get to take more than one, you need the permission of a dean to get it. So you'll either be granted or not. And then this vote was not close. There was actually quite a few people that were, well, I guess it was there was 4 people against, and 2 people did want their names stated that they were against this. And then, yep. There were concerns about restricting students to one course, and also that they wanted them to recommend you take these courses in the first 3 semesters. And then if you wanted to take more than one, you had to get the permission of the dean. Yeah. And then we did so there's new, the positions are new. They'll have a special meeting this month, I believe, to get the new VPAR candidate, and then the nursing business graduate and engineering need to get a new dean, and they've been searching, but it's been delayed to COVID. Yeah, and that's basically everything that happened in the meeting. If anyone wants to speak to that, like Malik or whoever was there.
Can I speak to that, Chair? Am I good
Of course.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to thank you for the report, Jennifer. That was pretty good. Just kind of keep it on folks' radar, since the next Senate meeting we won't be there, but I know our VPACs and our president are here and they will be there. And of course our Senate reps will be there. But to make sure that the proposed changes to the student code of conduct do go through, because we were very disappointed with the outcome, because at the beginning of the meeting, even the VP Academic and Research kind of emphasized that there's been 2 student union teams consulted on this. But the fact is, we went in with Emma and Swetta's notes, we went in with our notes, we made sure that there's continuity there, and none of the feedback from any of our notes made it in there. And that's kind of unfortunate that would have to go to debate at Senate to be able to make it, even though we were consulted more than once. So just to kind of keep that on the radar for folks who are going back to Senate in May, to see those changes in there. Yeah.
Were there any other questions or comments for the Senate representative's report? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again for the report, Jennifer. We'll now move to the last report for this section, which is the Board of Governors report. The Board of Governors representative is not present. President, do you have a report, or has there been a meeting?
Yes, there was a meeting. I'll be reporting the report.
Okay, did you wish to give the report?
Yes. I'd just like to share my screen. That's fine.
Oh, sure.
So one of the major things that was brought to Board of Governors meeting was the budget for, sorry, 1 second, was the budget for the next year. Yes. So for Board of, first of all, before I go into the budget, so the enrollment for this year, for the whole year for 2020 and 2021, increased by 4.6% when compared to 2019 and 2020. Course registration also had a 5.6 increase. Like I don't know if I've mentioned this, but international students enrollment also increased by 3.1, but in the number of students, there was a decrease of 10.1. So this happened because of, they found out that they were able to retain more students as to student dropping off or dropping out from online classes, but we had more retention than like new students coming into the semester. So for the budget presentation, we can see that the tuition will increase by 1% this or next semester. So there's a 1% increase in tuition fees. And I'm happy to announce that other administrative fees are not increasing by anything. So if I remember correctly, the athletics fee is 133 right now. So it remains 133 for next academic year. So it's just the international fee that is increasing by $78 this semester, and tuition fee. I know it a separate amount will increase for AVC, but not so much also, and also for some graduate courses also, but not so much. So for the property and assets update, the residence building is going well, and 77% of the project has been tendered. The North Tower is somewhat completed. They are doing more of the structural steel, wall framing, seating, and other stuff. And for the climate change and adaptation building, 99% of that has been tendered, and everything is hoping to be completed in the spring. So there's a new program that was approved in Board of Governors, the previous Board of Governors before the current one. That is the Doctor of Applied Health program. Initially, I think it received approval from the Maritime Province of Higher Education, of Higher Education Council, and the president said it was going to start next year because they need the students to be within the campus to take this program, but because of COVID and restrictions here and there, they don't think, and they're still planning towards the program. They wouldn't start this summer or summer, sorry. They wouldn't be able to start this summer, so they'll start next year summer, but definitely things are being worked on for this program. And also one of our AVC professors received a 4.7 million in funding for a program to test early warning system for identifying complex gill disease on salmon farms. Yes. Just to go a little bit into the budget. Yes. So I would just like to mention that so we can see that there's constantly been an increase in the expenses for UPI, or should I say the expenses and revenue in general. Tuition for this year, tuition currently is covering a lot more, it's covering 40%. I believe as at last year, it was either 30 or 32%. But as time goes on, things are beginning to, with inflation rate and everything skyrocketing, things are definitely getting higher. So the unrestricted fund is 43%. The government still gives, I think 2% or 6%, one of them, I can't really, it should be here. But the unrestricted operating grant, so I think everything from the government, covers 43% of the university's budget. So this is the revenue, and then under here is the expenses. So out of the 100% of revenue that we have, 73% of that goes to salaries and benefits. So to all staff and employees and professors on campus, most of our tuitions and money from the government goes to their salaries and benefits, and just 13% goes to supplies and repairs, 9% goes to scholarship. I believe scholarship has 9.8 million in order to give away to students, and utilities have 5% of the total revenue go to utilities. So I'd just like to show everyone this chart. So the tuition rate increase. The president did mention that, I believe it's either the 2017 president or 2018, I can't remember, but one of the previous, either 2017 or 2018 president or student union body in general, this he did promise them that tuition will be increasing at a decreasing rate. So as we can see, from 4% to 3 to 2, and now it's at 1%. And it's really good to see that it's at 1% right now because of, first of all, because of COVID. And second of all, I know various other schools, most of us will have heard stories from those in are better because the government cut their budget, how much they'll be given to schools. So the schools have increased tuition by 7%, some 4.3, depending on how, but tuitions are being increased way more in various other schools. But it's really good to see that the university has considered what is happening, and tuition is increasing by 1% this year. So like I did mention, so 1% tuition increase is $6 per course. International fee is increasing by $8 per course. Then graduate tuition fee is 1% per program. So these amounts vary. And DVM, that is Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, is increasing by 2%. And I would like to show you. I'm sorry if you guys don't understand these numbers, but definitely can chip in and ask any question. Just looking for where the course, yes. So for credit courses, it's now it's currently 639, so we're going over to 645. So it had a $6 increase. For non-credit courses, it's 411. International fee, like I mentioned, is $78. Then other tuition, student success program, course-based PLAR, 646, and then 22 dietetic internship. As you can see, lab fees are not increasing by anything this year. Like I did mention, the administrative fees aside from
Tuition?
yes, international fee, thank you, is not increasing by anything. So lab fees still remain 75. Music instruction fee per course is still 500. Salamanek program fee is still 100. Co-op fees are still acceptance fees is 778. And we can see, and I believe, yes, he did mention that whatever courses will still be online, the $75 for online fees wouldn't be charged to any student because, first of all, because of COVID, and students are not choosing to be online, but those courses have to be online. So they are not being charged for any $75 fee. And I think that's okay.
Does that include lab fees?
Yes, lab fees is still 75 for the coming
No, I mean
year.
this. You said that if the course is online, there's no $75 fee.
Oh, that was so in a regular year, when you take courses online, there is a $75 fee that they charge you for taking courses online. So when we started courses online, or when everything moved, e-learning fee, yes, thank you, Malak. So e-learning fee was $75 before, but because everything moved online, we don't pay for that anymore. And even in the coming year, depending on the format school takes, it's still going to be, it wouldn't still be charged to students if courses are online or not. So that wouldn't be, the e-learning fee wouldn't be charged to students. Yes, I believe that's all the numbers that I can explain any other number in case if anyone is curious about anything.
Are there any questions on the Board of Governors report?
It's more of a comment, not a question. I think that the fact that that the fees remain the same, I think that's pretty good, given that we're also still experiencing COVID and its outcomes. And I think 1% increase in tuition is also, I know it's still an increase, but I think it's also pretty good that it's only 1%, given that I think for the past three-ish years, it's always been 2%. So to see that it's a little bit less is also pretty good.
Any additional comments or questions on the report? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you very much for your report, Tulu. The next item on the agenda this evening is the strategic planning updates. And I'm not sure who is presenting that. So if someone wants to let me know, I will give them screen share abilities.
I guess I would start, right? So I'll start with that. I'll have to share my screen. Yeah. So this strategic plan was written in 2019-2020, and it's a 3-year plan. So the next executive team will have to work on this and work on another 3-year plan for the upcoming executive team. And a strategic plan is just to measure successes on various aspects of the student union and various aspects on things the student union does. So first of all, it starts with the president, and one of the priority is supporting good governance and diversity. So so increasing students' participation in SU elections. As we can see, this is an online semester, and we found it really tough trying to access students a lot. So we did have somewhat of a drop in elections. So the spring elections, that is the one that was just currently conducted, where we have Samantha as the incoming president, had 12.2%, 12.2% response rate. So for the fall by election, that was when I was elected in, it had 2.0. And for the fall election, for the other initial fall election, when we had to do an election to fill up the council seats, it had a 10.6 rate. Everything is pretty low compared to last year. Last year, it had 13.70. And the benchmark is 19.8. Not so much has increased on that aspect. And yeah, so average number of candidates for vacant positions, most of them were just uncontested for. A couple, we could see this current spring election, we had a lot of competition from for the VP student life position, but my position, the VPAGs, and I know Senate rep, and some other few positions just had one person running for it. So there wasn't so much of an average of one person per vacant position was a record. So for goal 1.2, so increasing awareness and confidence, like I did mention, it's online school and it's really hard to reach to students. We couldn't really measure how many students knew their council representative. So we couldn't measure how many of the total number of art students know who their art rep is, or how many number of engineering students knows their engineering rep, council representative, and also number of students who know how to contact their faculty representative. So because they couldn't, they don't know their council representative, I don't think they'll be able to contact any of their faculty representative. So in this aspect, we couldn't really measure things because of how things were online. So also candidates training for the underrepresented group. We did have the Stride and Advocacy, or Leadership and Advocacy. It was approximately 10 people who attended this. And well, it's, like I said, it's pretty low compared to when things were in person. International students, but I do like this figure, international students as candidates of all candidates. We could see an increase in number of students who were, number of international students that did run for various positions. So for the fall election, that was when the council sits. I think I counted one in almost every position or more than one. So we had 77.78. And also in this current winter election, we had 77%. So for non-male, they were 66.67 in the fall and 80 in the winter. So they say, how well does the council reflect the broader composition of the student body? We can definitely see through our council members here today that it's very diverse. Aside from the current executive team being all international students, we can see that most positions here have one international student to its name, and just various indigenous. We currently have an indigenous representative. And yes, I forgot to mention this, but our new website has been launched. We have updated our website to a new and updated modem, and I do like it a lot. Please feel free to check it, and your feedback is welcome. But I really like the website. It looks easier to navigate. So we've definitely done a lot more with our social media and website updates this semester, because that is the fastest way we were able to, reach out to students. And that has been one of our huge win, or should I say improvement this year, because of the way everything has boosted. And that is all on my part for the strategy.
Okay, was anyone else going to present on this for other goals?
Yes.
I think we're all present. Yeah, I don't know which goes next in the document. Sorry, so I don't want to say I'm ready, but whatever the kind of the document flow, I'm good to go with.
Yeah, point of information. Tulu just used the original document where the data was written on. Me, Malak, and Naomi wrote in a separate document that we kind of copy pasted, just so that in case information had to be revised before being put in the final document or something like that. But actually, it's the document that I shared with you a couple of minutes ago. And I go first, then Malak, and then Naomi.
Okay, would you like me to pull that up?
Yep.
Sorry, folks, I'm just having some issues getting the document up.
Ashley, I'm happy to share it if that helps.
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
No worries.
Perfect. So yeah, just as Tulu mentioned, just sorry about that. I just had a quick issue with somebody calling me, and I accidentally hang the Zoom call. So Malak, are we in my part?
Yeah, I think this is your part. Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
Yep. So yeah, basically, as Tulu mentioned, each of the executives has specific roles or goals that they have to fulfill throughout the year. And the strategic plan just kind of gives us like a backbone of what things we have to take into account for as we move throughout the year. And this plan was set a couple of years ago, and The next team will have to fill their boxes for their year and plan the new plan for moving forward. But basically for me, one of my goals was to facilitate like volunteer opportunities on campus. We had between 85 and 100 applicants based on the Google form that was up for volunteers in the website. And also based on the numbers found in the Facebook group we have for volunteers this year. And then in terms of matchmaking these volunteers with opportunities, I wrote like between 30 and 60 dependent, and it's kind of like based on the numbers of initiatives or events that me or the other executives put out, where we put call out for volunteers. So that could have been anything from when we asked for help with advertisement on social media, or we asked any of you folks to come to the office to help us with small tasks. So I want to say that there were between 30 to 60 of those opportunities, but those numbers could definitely be a little bit more, a little bit less. And then again, the students that registered for volunteering, it was between 85 and 100 based on the Facebook group and the application form I had for volunteers this year. And then organizations registered for volunteer matchmaker. There was no data for this in terms of in my drive, and I actually didn't know this was a thing. Apparently, moving forward, we might have to look for opportunities in which the UPSU is able to match students who apply to volunteer with the UPSU with opportunities with organizations outside of campus. That's what I understand from the administrative manager. However, I wrote a note saying that I don't think that would really fall under the VP student life, and might want to revise that with the administrative manager moving forward. Anyways, moving below, Malak. Building communities on campus, that's kind of like my main gig. So first we have like increasing SU event presence within AVC. Last year we had 4, this year we had 8, between 8 and 10. And like, it looks really small because the font is really small because I wanted to fit in like the information in case any of the counselors wanted to read it later. But basically I broke down like the events that happened. So everything that's in red is like that information. And then below we had like constituency of events funded by the UPSU. So basically, from my understanding of my conversation with the administrative manager, pretty much every event this year counts as funded by the UPSU because we did not charge cover for any particular event or thing because it was a challenging year for students. I'm proud to say that this year the UPSU hosted, well, based on my counting, we hosted 160 events or initiatives or workshops. However, that's not just me, that's like also the hard work that all the other executives put for their respective campaigns. So Malak with her letter writing campaign, or Stride or advocacy training with Tulu, or financial literacy with Yumikun, and also the many events that the bar manager put out this year, because this year the bar manager specifically did like 30 events in the Fox and Crow. So Mike definitely worked hard in making sure that the UPISU was providing events for students throughout the year, and just wanted to give him a shout out because he works really hard. So moving below, uptake of funds from the UPSU for organizing events. So basically, right now, what I have there is just the numbers of the funding we had available this year. And I know that AVC used it, GRAD used it, and then a little bit of international was used for international's cultural diversity campaign, and a little bit of the first year one was used for NSO. However, I am not finalizing numbers on that until April 20th with Candace, that she will go with me through all the receipts that of people who applied for funding with us. And I also added a little note about how now there's an Indigenous funding line moving forward. So we keep moving along. And then, so this is to be updated, but based on the responses on the survey, there is a question about whether students feel like their interests are reflected by our events. 95.1% of the respondents so far have said yes. And then event revenue and net profit, there's nothing for that because again, we didn't charge for events this year. So we're not making money. And then clubs. So basically we did have like less uptake on clubs this year. However, both me and Lena expected that because COVID. So we had, last year we had 52 and this year we had 38. We're hoping moving in a non-COVID year or less COVID year will increase those numbers. And then data of students reporting membership in a club. we reported on 35% of students on campus, and that's only based on the amount of membership cards that were requested from clubs to us. So below you'll see a point where I say that we provided between 16 to 1800 cards, and we have around 5,000 students on campus. Number of executives trained. So based on the people who attended mentorship program, executive training, or mentorship, executive training, or orientation, we had between 40 to 50 different club executives who were trained. Then ensuring the operational sustainability of clubs, that's basically making sure that clubs have like the tools they need for successful transition or for successfully moving through a year. So this year, 74% of clubs, that's 28 out of 38 clubs as of today, have bank accounts. Lena and I will make sure that those numbers increase because clubs need bank accounts to request funding. And then percentage of clubs who reported a faculty advisor. Last year, there was no data kind of gathered for that, but this year we have 47%. So again, 18 out of 38 clubs. Membership cards distributed. This was definitely one of the biggest wins from my portfolio because we distributed between 1,600 to 1,800 cards. And also for that, we got 25 local businesses to partner up, which was kind of big and really proud that happened. Then percentage of clubs reporting executive transition, that's just clubs that are like making sure the next executive team is well on their way. We have so far 19 out of 38, so that's 15%. But Lena and I will continue to monitor them until the end of our term, by the end of April. And then percentage of annual reports created. Basically, every club has to prepare an end of the year report and send it back to me and Lena before our term is over usually. Lena and I are sending all clubs a mock report that we prepared, or she mainly prepared and I revised tomorrow. And we're giving them a deadline of the end of April. And then after that, hopefully Sierra and the next clubs coordinator will be able to kind of help any club that perhaps did not finish transition or anything like that. And almost done with my section, guys. So execute relevant and inclusive campaigns. So the percentage of students who reported that campaigns were of a topic that interested them. So far, 95.1% of survey respondents feel that campaigns do reflect their interests as of today. Hopefully we'll get more numbers for that survey. Familiarity with campaigns, that's a hard point because me and the initiative manager are kind of figuring out what is the point referring to because we weren't sure if it meant like are students familiar with our campaigns or is the BPSL has a good grasp of the campaigns they're supposed to host. So we're figuring out what that point specifically pertains to. So right now it has an unknown. And finally, development of consultations guidelines. This year we did the campaigns and events survey. Obviously we need more responses to truly reflect more of a percentage of campus. So if all of you could help me put that out more, it would be great. But also I know that next year, the BPSL is thinking about doing a suggestion inbox, which I feel will help this particular point. And that's it for me. And then Malak, you're like done there.
Thanks, Jose. And just as a point of information for you, if you have any further difficulty determining what some of the goals are, I can probably consult on that as I was one of the folks who drafted this plan.
Okay, thank you so much, Ashley.
Okay, I'll just get going. Mine is pretty short, to be honest. So the first one is percentage of students who feel our advocacy reflects their needs. There was no data collected on this because it's kind of hard to really, I guess, represent that in a number. Every year the priority consultations are picked out from the survey that is answered by students, but our advocacy isn't just in the lobby doc. Like our campaigns are advocacy. We do also advocacy in to the university. So it's hard to put a number on this. It could be some of the people who answered positively in the survey, but then again, that's a percentage of a percentage. So I just left it to no data was collected similar to last year. And I guess it's just kind of hard to really pinpoint a way to collect that data. And then the second one is percentage of students who agree that we advocate effectively on their behalf, kind of similar to the one above it. It's just it's kind of hard to really pinpoint that like number. I was thinking maybe referencing that to based on like council feedback based on the advocacy, but I wasn't 100% sure. And then the number of students accessing academic complaints. I know that Sweta did do a lot more academic complaints last year. She got about 27 appeals. This year, I counted only 14. I didn't count all the questions that we had received. I counted specifically the appeals that moved forward. So we had 4 formal appeals and 10 informal appeals. We did get a lot more students reach out than 14. But those were either kind of resolved before an appeal, or the student did not want to appeal the situation. And the number of new policies approved. So I put 3. That's the number of new policies that we have in our lobby doc this year, and then 2 for review. So 1, oh, I don't know why that's so many 2s, but oops. Anyway, 1 one that was up for review definitely this year was the Indigenous student policy. We kind of revamped that, all of it. And then the second one that kind of was reviewed was actually not up for review. It was in the wins category of our policy, external policy book. But because the government kind of went back on its funding, we had to advocate for it again. So I did include it in the policies that were reviewed because we had to update the whole thing. And then papers drafted by the SU or in collaboration with other organizations. We have the Shared Perspectives publication that's going out later this month, and I will attach a link to it when it is out. And then a review of external membership and external organizations. I did complete some research about our external organizations, and a review that I will be also passing over to our future executive team and VPACs. And those are my metrics.
Okay. Do you want to share my screen, or could I use yours? Or
You can use mine. I'll leave it open.
okay. Starting off with mine. I have strengthening training for UPI SU staff. So we had our staff orientation in September, where we had a total of 24 staff attending. This training comprised of different workshops like anti-racism training, inclusion and diversity in the workplace training, as well as sexual violence prevention training. Data was not collected from this trainings. However, there were testimonies from several staff that these workshops were extremely informative. Secondly, we have boosting the SU services. So the review of the yearbook business. So in 2018, 2019, the yearbook was we no longer sold the yearbook. We now usually give it to students for free. So we don't really have any revenue from it. However, also this year we weren't able to print out the yearbooks because of graduation. So when we are able to print out the yearbook, then we'll be able to give more data on the yearbook. In terms of the health plan, numbers of claims filed online. For physiotherapy, we have 1978 claims filed. For eyewear, that's glasses, contact lens, and all of those other things, we had 370 claims. For counseling, we had 229 claims. And for prescription drug, we had 6,879 claims. So usually we collect our annual report from PBAS, which is the organization that helps us, or that we do our health and dental plan with. So we'll be getting that presentation on April the 23rd. Can you just go down a little bit, please? Yes. Also for the Fox and Crow, so we are yet to get the numbers for the completed academic year. However, we have the numbers for the fall. We currently run a net loss this year. This is as a result of COVID-19. So we have about $39,000 loss. And due to COVID, we couldn't present a business plan because coming next year and the year to come, things might change. So it is really a tricky year to prepare one. In terms of funding, percentage of students aware of funding. So there were 290 applications for the UPI SU Emergency Fund, and most of our advertisements was drawn through the UPI social media platform. We had 26 students who made use of the Student Academic Enrichment Funding. Could you just slide down a little bit? We also had 11 students who made use of the UPI SU COVID-19 Startup Fund. And for the funding granted, we had 55 students, and this is the Student Academic and Enrichment Funding and the COVID-19 emergency funding, which is bringing us to a total of 55 students that were approved. For AVC, we had $1,750 used. For clubs, we had $2,750 used. For graduate students, we had $400 used. And for undergraduate students, we had $1,500 used.
Okay, thank you very much for that report on the update for the strategic plan. Are there any counselor questions at this time? Seeing none, we will move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is the 2,000 plus expenditures. And for that, I would open the floor to Yumikin.
So I'm just going to quickly go over the 2,000 plus expenditure for the end of February up until March. So first on the list, we have the Campus Trust, which is the amount we usually pay to Campus Trust on a monthly basis. We also have the CIBC, that is our credit card for the expenses that are used around the office. So we usually pay the credit card of the administrative manager and the Fox and Pro manager for all the running around the office. We also have the February 2021 payment to the university. And we later on paid the complete balance to the university later with the other amount. We have the Canada Revenue Income Tax that we pay to CRA, and we also have the Combat Computers. For the month of March, we also had to pay for our Campus Trust monthly payments. And as earlier on stated, we updated our website, so that is where we get the high diet design amount used.
Okay, great. Are there any questions for the VP Finance on the 2,000 plus expenditures? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you very much for your report. The next item on the agenda for this evening are the UPISU council dates for 2021-2022. I am going to share those now. Sorry, folks, I seem to have a real problem with Google Docs tonight. It's just going to take me a second. Okay, I am still having a problem with Google Docs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share those dates in the chat so that everyone can see them. So these are the proposed dates for the 2021-2022 upcoming council year. So this would have 6 council meetings happening per semester. And what we're looking at right here are just the dates as they are currently set. And I'm looking for a motion for approval. So if I could get a motion from my counselors to approve the dates as presented. I see Adam.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the council dates for next year now be approved as presented.
Thank you very much for your motion, Adam. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Jessica. Adam, did you wish to speak to that motion?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to speak to this motion? So any discussion on the dates as they are presented? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. All in favor of the dates as they are presented, all opposed, those who wish to abstain. That vote has carried, so the dates as you see them now are the council dates for the upcoming academic year. We'll now move to the next point on the agenda for this evening, which is the fall and winter election dates. Again, I am still having that issue sharing the Google Doc, so I'm going to once again put those dates in the chat. So what you're seeing there is the UPISU fall election dates with a nomination period beginning September 27th and going to October 8th, a campaign period starting October 9th and going to October 25th, and voting occurring October 26th and October 27th. That would allow council orientation to happen on November 7th for new councilors to be welcome to council. And then the UPISU winter election dates as presented, the nomination period will be opening January 31st and closing February 11th. The campaigning period will be opening February 12th and closing March 7th. And finally, voting will be happening March 8th and March 9th. So at this time, I would be seeking a motion for approval of those dates as they are presented. I see Adam.
Thank you once again, Chair. I move that the fall 2021 and winter 2022 election dates now be approved as presented.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Malik, VPAX. Adam, do you wish to speak to that motion?
No, thank you, Chair.
Does anyone wish to speak to that motion? Seeing none, we will again move to a vote. All in favor of approval of the dates as presented, all opposed, and those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried, so those dates are approved. That does not mean that next year's council is unable to make edits should the dates no longer suit. A future council could choose to edit those just with a 2/3 majority vote. So now we'll move to the next point on the agenda for this evening, which is new business. So at this time, I would open the floor to any councilor who wishes to speak during new business. I see Jeremy, the grad senate representative.
Hello, everyone. I'll keep this short because I'll try to talk about it after it gets seconded, but I'd like to make a motion to extend my term until the end of the summer.
Can I get an exact date on that, Jeremy?
When does the summer term end?
I am not sure.
Let's say start of August.
Okay, sure. So August 1st, extend your term until August 1st.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Adam. Jeremy, would you wish to speak to that motion?
Yeah, absolutely. So as as many of you may know, or if you don't, then I'll just say now that no one ran for graduate Senate representative this year in this winter election. So if I was to leave the position now, there would be no one to represent graduate students on the Senate over the summer. They only have one more meeting, but there's also committees of which the graduate representative sits on. So I think that it would be appropriate to have student representation, even though my original term was supposed to end at the end of this April. And I'm willing to fulfill that role throughout the summer because I'll be a full-time student throughout that. So simply put, I feel that it makes sense that I do stay on and provide that perspective rather than leave the role unrepresented.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this motion? Seeing no one, we will move to a vote on the extension of the graduate Senate representative's term until August 1st, 2021, so that he can continue in his role until that time. If you wish to abstain, please indicate your name in the chat box. Abstention from Sam. Okay, that motion has carried.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Great, thank you very much. We are now back open to new business. A final call for any new business. I see Jose.
Yeah, my new business is old business, but basically just giving one extra nudge to so that all of you will help me push that event and campaign survey forward. I don't want to be really pushy, but getting consultations on that will really help the next executive team perform either hybrid events or online events or in-person events. And looking at how things are looking for next year, I assume that having feedback for how specifically COVID-19 events went this year will be specifically useful for next year. So if all of you could really just do me a favor and push it on your social media, tell your friends to do them, fill them out yourself. I know it's a little bit long, but even if you don't fill out all the optional questions, you still are giving really valuable information and it only takes 2 to 4 minutes. Yeah, that's it.
Is there anyone else who wished to speak during new business? I see Tulu.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to remind anyone that is interested in the EDI days of CASA, that CASA will be having next week. Definitely email me and I'll send you the link. They have various workshops that would be helpful. They are just it's going to run for 2 days, so Wednesday and Thursday. Yes, Wednesday and Thursday. So if you'll be interested, definitely reach out. I'll be happy to send you the link. Thank you.
And a final call for any new business. Seeing none, I just want to thank everyone for all of their hard work throughout the last year. I know it's been a busy year with having all of classes happening online and balancing council online as well. I just wanted to let you folks know that it's been an absolute pleasure to serve as the chair this year. And it was great to get to see some of you folks at the banquet. And I wanted to just let council know that at the banquet, for folks who weren't there, Counselor of the Year award was awarded, and that was awarded to our first year representative, Adam. So great job this year, but honestly, it was a great job from lots of counselors. So thanks so much for coming out to our last meeting, and I hope you folks all take some time to Give yourself some self-care during your upcoming exam week, and I wish you folks all the best. And now we will move to our last point for the evening, which is adjournment. Can I get a motion for adjournment, please? I see Malik.
Yes, I'd like to raise that we adjourn the council meeting until I guess September, I can't remember, 14th, 13th, till next year's council, September 19th, 2021. There we go.
Great. Thank you, Malik. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Jessica. Malik, would you like to speak to that motion?
Yeah, it was wonderful having you all this year, and thank you for everything. That's it.
Thanks, Malik. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to that motion?
Point of information. Thank you so much, council members, for being on the UPSU council this year. We are really proud of you, and we are proud that all of you stick with it despite it being a COVID-19 year. Thanks, Ashley and Mateo, for sharing and conducting all these council meetings all the time and giving us direction. And just thank you, everybody, for everything. See you around.
A final call for anyone who wished to speak to the motion for adjournment.
I would like to speak to that.
Sure. Tulu.
Yep. Oh, I just want to say thank you so much for volunteering your time to be here, everyone. Definitely appreciate the time you guys have been taking since the beginning of the semester to be here. It's greatly appreciated, and I wish you all the very best in exams and in the upcoming semester, academic year, UCB, UPI.
Okay, and seeing there's no one else on the speakers list, we will move to a vote for adjournment. All in favor of adjourning, all opposed, those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried. This meeting is officially adjourned at 7:30 p.m. Have a great week, folks.